Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today what we're going to be talking about is how to verify if the customer is really your customer and not just somebody grabbing the order from you. That being said, there are situations where a customer or someone who is associated with the customer will mark it as not delivered, or you genuinely might be handing it off to the wrong person, whether they're ordering on Uber Eats and it's not the same guy, or you're just handing it off to somebody else. So with that said, between Doordash, Grubhub, and Uber Eats is going to be vital information to protect your accounts from potential fraud and violations that you shouldn't be receiving. So make sure you pay attention and watch to the very end. Now with that said, let's get started. When you arrive to the location, make sure the address is actually the address you're supposed to be at. Now sometimes the GPS can be a little, let's say, wonky when it comes to getting to the actual location. And that's not even just the in-app GPSs, that's Google Maps. Sometimes they'll take you behind the building or whatever. Sometimes in the instructions, it'll even tell you exactly what part of the building they're in, whether it's a suite number or, hey, they gotta leave it at the front desk, or don't go through the front, you gotta go through the back, whatever. Sometimes your customer genuinely just isn't available. Make sure you're going to the right suite number. Now, sometimes they'll actually meet you out front, but in the cases where you're not going to the right suite number, you got to be able to actually find the right building, right suite number. And this is especially challenging with apartment buildings that are like in an apartment building complex. You know what I'm talking about? Like, it's not an apartment building, it's an entire neighborhood of apartment buildings. And you got to figure out which one of these apartment buildings is the right one. Story of my life. But that being said, you got to figure out which one is the one you're supposed to be. Is once you get there, if there is a front desk or a hotel, sometimes they're not even going to let you up. So you might have to actually notate, hey, I left it with the front desk, or I put it with this person. If you do, make sure you add as many details as possible, because there have been times for me where I had actually dropped off the food at a doctor's office and I actually got a never arrived violation, and I was able to get it removed in 30 minutes after I got that violation because I had so many details pertaining to how I dropped it off. I dropped it off with this person at this doctor's office because she was a coworker named this. See my point? Like, I had 4 different points of details to where they can actually determine who I'm actually dropping it off to, because at that point it's not my fault that she wasn't available and a coworker claimed to be claiming it for her. Now sometimes it's more residential. Let's say a security guard won't let you through for some reason. A lot of these buildings have different building policies, and it's understandable because with security and COVID and all these other reasons, you gotta know who you're dealing with. I remember dropping off an order. She was looking for me to drop it off on the 6th floor of this apartment building, right? And the address she gave me went to an office building with only 4 floors. I had to call her and make sure I got the right address. Now, with Doordash and Grubhub, it's not that hard. With Uber Eats, they're kind of hit or miss these days. I feel like a lot of the times when I contact Uber Eats, they'll say they can help you, but they really don't. They've been the most dishonest people I've ever had the unfortunate displeasure of dealing with these days. But that's really all the support teams. It's not just Uber support. Sometimes you're going to a hotel and a lot of people ordered from food delivery apps. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned to do is ask them for their name. Not to like, hey, are you picking up for this person? Because what happens if you say, hey, I'm picking up for, let's say, Dan? Yeah. What happens if you say, hey, what's your name? Bob. Hey, I'm not dropping off to Bob. I'm dropping off to somebody else. If it's obvious on the bag to where they're ordering from and whatever it is, make sure you hide that information so that way the right person gets the order. It's been happening a lot these days. I think contract violations are one of the most frustrating things to deal with. But regardless of however you decide to handle it, the last thing you need to be is a jerk. So try to be respectful across the board. I know that can be hard, especially when you're dealing with frustrated, angry, and hungry people. Believe me, I've been on all ends of this subject. I understand how that can be frustrating. But you gotta maintain respect regardless. I remember going to this hotel. There was this one person, well, let's just say she was at the club getting tipsy, you know what I'm saying? It was a woman that ordered, I remember that much. But this, let's say, less than conscious human being was saying, ooh, is that for me? And she was trying to, like, come closer to me, like, all up in my business. Like, I want you to imagine just getting all up in your face, smiling, and just, and hey, is that for me? And I'm like, what's your name? She said her name in a very slurred and elongated way. I was like, oh, this doesn't look like it's for you then. And I'm like, oh, but could it be for me? I'm like, no, it really can't. Her boyfriend ended up dragging her away, and I had to go up to the right room. That being said, if I didn't know how to verify properly who the person in front of me was, I wouldn't have been able to protect my account in that way. That's the only message I got for you today. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.